What's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? It is time. The John Browner podcast is here, and we are ready to roll on the show today. Tatis drops a deuce. What a day yesterday for sports, man. What an absolute gem of a day. What a day to be a sports fan yesterday, man. Tatis drops a deuce on the Reds, and the Spurs just lose in historic fashion. We're going to get to all that. It's a lot of content today. It's a lot of juice on the show as far as this particular show is concerned. And in addition to that, and most importantly, in addition to that, for a lot of people who listen to this show, today's the start of the World Cup, dog. Mexico's playing today. So it's a big day. It's a massive sports day. I think Mexico's actually going to be kicking this game off soon. Let me double check the score. But today's a massive sports day, following one of the crazier sports days you could have. Yeah, man, this Mexico game kicks off in about 2 hours. So it's a lot. We took a lot yesterday. Last night was big. Yesterday on a travel day, a get-out day, the Padres sent the Reds happy hunting for wherever they got to go next. You ain't got to go home, but the Tatis walked you the hell up out of here. 2 home run counters at 2. Yes, it's on the board. 2. We're going to get into that. We're going to talk about how big and how monumentous that home run might have been, not only for Fernando Tatis Jr., but for the San Diego Padres. So we're going to get deep into that. We're going to talk about who's to blame later with what happened. With John Gennaro is going to come on the pod because he comes on and he helps us break down these finals games the following day. So we got a lot to get to on the show today. But first and foremost, as we always do, we going to 300. We are marching to 300, and if you're new to the show, if you're finding the show via X, or if you're finding the show via YouTube, the show is now streaming on the following. Okay, you ready? Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, 2 X accounts, and a Kick account. We're going to get there, man. We're going to get there. And so to all those people, so there may be a lot of new people who absorb this show. That's not my body. It never was my body, but that is my head. And we're marching to 300 subscribers on YouTube. So the goal for this show is to head over to YouTube and subscribe to the podcast. If you're on X, do me a solid and retweet the show. If you do me a solid, retweet the show. But also, as along lines of retweeting the show, shout out to my people over at the Sporting Tribune. You can see this on their X account. I also post a lot of stuff on their YouTube page as well. So give them a follow. I do a show with them called the Sporting Tribune tonight, which usually airs every night after a big event. Hasn't been the person. There's a lot of people out of town. People are vacationing. People are living their lives. But shout out to the people at the Sporting Tribune for bringing me on, and everybody over there welcoming me. And it's been a fun ride, and everything is going smooth. So shout out to them. Show them some love, man. As always, the show, the merch. What's that, food on there? Let me see. Nope. I don't know what that was. The John Browner podcast has merch. Help the show, stay on its feet until we can get to the subscriber version. We can start monetizing this thing via YouTube and some of these other outlets that we're now going to. Hop in the shop, the John Browner podcast shop. Buy something. I'm gonna put a link to the podcast. I'm gonna put a link in the bio, or in the what do they call that? In the chat pack. I'm gonna put something in the chat pack so that you guys can know where to actually find it. Because I think part of the reasons why I'm getting a lot of questions about it as of recently is because people don't know where to find it. So let me help you find it. But yeah, man, unbelievable night. Unbelievable night. You cannot go wrong with what you saw last night. You can't do it. You can't do it. This is why we watch the games. This is why you are a fan. This is why you sit down and you sit through some of this. This is why you, as a fan, here it is. Let me drop it in here real quick. That's the link to the podcast shop. And now, when you see me pop up 3 different times in here, just know, again, I'm on all these. Okay? Kick, Twitch, YouTube, Instagram. Not Instagram. I'm sorry, Facebook. 2X accounts. So I'm everywhere. I'm putting the show everywhere. I'm doing the best I can to put the show everywhere so everybody can see it. We're going to talk about De'Aaron Fox. We're going to talk about Mitch Johnson. But we got to, because this is a Southern California sports show, we got to start where we got to start at. Tatis getting number 2. Tatis dropped a massive deuce yesterday. Tatis hit the walk-off home run for the Padres to take the Reds and take the series. Yesterday was another tight game with the Reds, which I can't explain that, but it was another tight game with the Reds, another 5-4 game, another close game. The 3 series in this game were 6-2 Padres, 5-3 Reds, 5-4 Padres. So a very good matchup. Michael King held his own, gave up a little more hits than you would like, and didn't get the strikeouts you would like, but he threw 100 pitches. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're not here to talk about Manny Machado batting 172 or Merrill batting 207, because Merrill had 2 hits yesterday. We're here to talk about Tatis hitting the walk-off. Now, I know we're going to get a lot of smoke in here. But I got to tell y'all, Tatis's play of late feels like this feels like the leadership change. Tatis has been the most consistent player on this roster for the last month and a half. Again, it hasn't been through power. It's been through just sheer hard play, base running, and fielding. He's showing versatility, being able to play second, and still being a Golden Glove right fielder. Now, he missed a couple of plays stretching out the signature jump Jordan catch he missed at second base. I think it was not yesterday, but on Tuesday. He missed a couple of highlight plays on Tuesday at second base. But nonetheless, man, this guy has been absolutely consistent at the plate, and he's been consistent in the field. As bad as everything has been for the Padres right now, as bad as things have been for them, they're still finding a way. They're still scrapping. And you should have beat the Reds in the series. You should have. But the way things are going, you never know with these dudes. You literally never know. So because the way Tatis has been playing lately, you got to take your hat off to him. You gotta see how he seems to be taking the leadership by the horns at this point. And he's doing it with his play. Like the energy and the excitement for any walk-off is kind of like yes. That felt a little more. Just like when he hit that first home run, and you could kind of just see him feeling as if he's gotten some off his chest, he's gotten some off his back. The home run yesterday didn't feel like that. The home run yesterday felt like we needed this. Somebody needed to come through, and I'm not talking about the Gavin Sheets of the world. Somebody had to come through who you cut checks to on this team. Because these are the people who should now be leading this team. These are the people who should now be leading the charge. And I thought Fernando Tatis Jr. took the first step in doing that. Like I said, he's been getting on base. He's made some confusing plays on the base pass, but his activity on the base pass has been positive all year. His defense has been positive all year. And now his plate is starting to come around. And again, like I said, I have reimagined what I expect from Fernando Tatis Jr. I've reimagined what I want him to be. The power doesn't bother me. I need to see him hitting for average. I need to see his batting average high. I need to see him on base. I need to see him playing A+ defense. And I'm cool with that. Again, we'll have plenty of time to focus on the Manny contract. We'll have plenty of time to try to figure out what's going on with Jackson Merrill. This idea about firing the hitting coach, everybody wants the hitting coach fired. What I keep telling y'all, and I will keep telling y'all, these are not rookies who are struggling. These aren't 4 or 5 year guys who are struggling. These are decade-long players with championships and awards that are struggling for the San Diego Padres. Manny Machado is not some guy who you can give some hitting tips to. Xander Bogaerts is not a guy you can give hitting tips to at this point. When you chose to hire a manager, again, and I like Craig Stammen. I got no issues. I got no beef with Craig Stammen. I like the hire. I think with the circumstances considered, he's done a very good job, even to the point where he's taken up for Manny, where he's cursing out fans. I love that. Now, if you know me, if you watch this show, you know I love when a manager cuss somebody out, specifically a fan. I love that real interaction. So shout out to Craig Stammen for protecting Manny Machado and speaking up for his guy. I 100% I back that. So I have no problems with Craig Stammen. But when you hire a first timer like Craig Stammen and you don't hire someone, let's say like an Albert Pujols, who apparently was up for the job, had multiple interviews for the job, when it comes to speaking to that person about hitting, if you're Manny Machado, how many tips can anybody on that staff give you? You're a better baseball player than anybody who's advising you. If you're Xander Bogaerts, you're a better baseball player than anybody advising you. What are they going to tell you? And you're rich, most importantly. Most importantly, you're rich. I know y'all don't want to hear that, but that plays a factor into it too. Why should I listen to you? I can get you fired. Get out of my face, man. So I thought yesterday was huge. I thought yesterday was huge for the San Diego Padres. I thought that was a really big win for them. I think that home run was very, very good for the energy in that ballpark. And anytime you hit a walk-off, because if you remember at the start of the year, they were hitting a lot of walk-offs. They were winning a lot of games in that fashion, but it was other guys doing it. Now to see a big money guy doing it, you just want to see that trend continue. You just want to see them continue to do that thing, man. So Tatis dropping a deuce yesterday was how we laid it off the show. Again, if you're new to the program, I'm John Brown. This is the John Brown Podcast. We come to you Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock until about 11 or whenever I'm done, unless I got an appointment or something, because sometimes I got to get out of here because I got too many kids. On the show today, as always, when we finish a game, when something happens in the NBA Finals, I have brought my good friend John Gennaro on the show. Every time, I saved all of my NBA comments. I saved all of them for when he comes on the show today. I talked baseball, which he can talk baseball too. And at some point when the finals is over, if he wants to come back and chip in that way, he's obviously more than welcome to do so. John, welcome to the show. Last night was
look at this man lying. I saw you did like an hour post-game show last night when I looked at you.
No, I said today. I said today.
Yeah. I saw you did an hour post-game show and I was like, I don't want to watch that because I don't want to preload in my head your thoughts and start fighting with you. So I've seen none of that. I know what none of your basketball thoughts are. I do want to hear them though. I'm very
let me put these on.
Put them on. I'll vamp for a second. I'm glad that earlier when you were talking about we were going to get into it, you already mentioned De'Aaron Fox, because all I want to talk about in the beginning part of this is De'Aaron Fox, because Jesus, man, Jesus. Like, I know we are a culture that wants to celebrate good guys winning, right? And OG Anunoby had a great game. And OG Anunoby had a great moment. And for the rest of his life, OG Anunoby's money will no longer spend in New York City. Because if he tries to buy dinner, if he tries to buy a drink, if he tries to buy a bagel, nope, you are OG Anunoby. That is free. We owe you. His money don't spend there. That's great. And it's great that OG's getting his moment. The Spurs had this game. Not enough people are talking about the fact that all De'Aaron Fox had to do was hold onto the ball and the Spurs win the game. And it was very reminiscent for me of game 2, when it's like, I felt like when Wemby throws that pass off Steph Castle's back, were the Spurs up 1 at that point? They were up 1 with the ball, yes. Right? So they're up 1 with the ball. If he completes that pass to Steph Castle, at the very least, you're not emergency fouling Jalen Brunson and sending him to the line. There's a very, very good chance the Spurs win game 2 if Steph Castle doesn't turn his head. There is a very, 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 very almost 100% chance the Spurs win that game last night if De'Aaron Fox does not take an ill-fated, I guess, layup attempt at the end of the game. All he had to do was not shoot. That's all he had to do. Now, I know why he shot, and I'm interested in talking with you about it, but give me your thoughts on the De'Aaron Fox thing first, because I think that to me, the OG getting the tip in, look, that's going to be replayed forever. The play of the game, the one that turned the game, was OG blocking De'Aaron Fox on the other side of the court.
OG Anunoby will live forever in the history of NBA basketball. I just want to start there before I
have a really, we'll come back to this. I got a really good comp for OG in my head right now that's going to put him in those annals, but we'll get to that.
I'm just talking about the moment. That tip in, that angle from behind the basket, that will live forever. That will be on shirts in New York, regardless of what happens in this series. The Patrick Ewing missed layup is the greatest failure in Knicks postseason history.
Yeah.
Josh Hart almost topped that last night, only to be outdone by De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox, the stupidity of the attempted, I'm not going to call it a miss, the attempted layup, with the score being what it was, the time being what it was, and the action that he committed being what it was the dumbest play in NBA history. And yes, I'm talking about beyond the Josh Smith, the J.R. Smith timeout or not laying the ball, J.R. Smith running the ball. This dwarfs that. This utterly dwarfs that. The layup, the attempted layup, the idea of the layup was the largest choke panic move from a guy of that stature. Again, this is clutch player of the year, De'Aaron Fox. This isn't some dude. If Dylan Harper had done that, I would have said Dylan Harper is
That's a
20
rookie.
years old.
He's a rookie. Yeah.
And he's just trying to score the ball. I don't have a problem with I wouldn't even have a problem with Stephon Castle. Stephon Castle would have dunked that ball. But I wouldn't have had a problem with Stephon Castle doing that. The reason, and at this point, in that game, at that point, the only reason why De'Aaron Fox is in that game at that point is to not do the dumb thing.
Yeah.
Because Dylan Harper has played better than him this entire NBA Finals. Quite frankly, this entire playoff, Dylan Harper has been better. He should have been on the court. The idea, he should have taken a shot within the last 10 minutes. That probably would have helped too. The fact that De'Aaron Fox, a NBA veteran, at one point in time for the Sacramento Kings was a quote-unquote franchise player. De'Aaron Fox is a guy who had a signature shoe. Before this moment, I would have considered him a top 10 point guard in the NBA without a doubt. Without a doubt, I would have given him a top 10 point guard label. For him to have had a brain fart in that moment was a culmination, by the way, of the downfall of many, many plays that led to that. Because you know who was supposed to be boxing out OG Anunoby? De'Aaron Fox. You know who was supposed to not have fouled at half court and let what's this kid's name who got fouled after De'Aaron Fox missed the layup? Jose Alvarado. Let him go back court.
Why? That was so weird.
Why did you foul him in that point when everybody's scrambling? You let the Knicks use their timeout. Again, you're supposed to be the smart guy. You're the oldest guy on the floor by a mile in NBA standards for your team. You're supposed to be making the smart plays. You make one dumb play on an attempted layup that gets blocked. Then you make another stupid play by fouling Jose Alvarado before he goes back court, because he was going back court, by the way.
I screamed it. I was like, I thought he went back court.
I did too.
When they blew the whistle for the foul, my wife was like, "Is that a foul?" I was like, "No, he went back court." But let me ask you this, because this is how I'm thinking about this. I'm going to be generous to De'Aaron Fox for a second. You're on that side. I'm going to be on the generous side of things. When you practice as a basketball player with your team and your coaching staff, even when you're just getting in runs, you are programming your brain to be like, we have seen this situation before and we know how to deal with it, right? You play enough basketball. This is why experienced teams usually perform better than inexperienced teams. You play enough basketball, you've been in every situation, and your brain knows the thing to do and the thing not to do, and you live within that range. The crazy moments of the NBA Finals, really the NBA playoffs, but it ratchets up in the NBA Finals. The craziest moments are the moments where something happens that you have never seen before. And if you go back and you watch that De'Aaron Fox play again, he gets the tip. The ball's flying out the other way, right? And remember, I said this last time when I was on your show a couple days ago. De'Aaron Fox has always been the fast guy in the league. Like there's basically no one faster than De'Aaron Fox, or at least there hasn't been in a while. He might be playing with an ankle sprain, we don't know, but he's the fast guy. He sees if I beat everyone in a race, which I should because I'm the fast guy, I have an open layup. So he runs and he gets the ball and he gets to the hoop and he kind of looks over his shoulder and he sees OG and he's like, yeah, but he's behind me. I'm faster than everyone. And he gets to the hoop and he goes to go up and he sees OG is on him, not a foot behind him, not 2 feet behind him, not trying to catch up, not trying to make a desperate block, just glued to him, meaning he was not able to run away from a man who was probably 6'9" and 260. And I think at that moment, his brain went, I got nothing. I don't know what to do in this situation. And the problem is he had picked up his dribble and there was no teammates around to pass it to. And he was like, I'm screwed here. If I hold on to the ball, best case scenario for me is probably a jump ball, me against OG Anunoby, which I lose. And I think in his head, he was like, if I go up and I go up quick, either I'm going to sneak it past him or I'm going to get fouled. And the problem is OG just proved that he can be as fast, as quick as De'Aaron Fox, despite being much, much larger than him. And I think it just short-circuited Fox's brain because he had never seen anyone that big move that fast before. Does that make sense to you?
No, because I thought he slowed down.
I think he did too, but I don't think he realized he did.
He slowed down. He clearly slowed down. He had gotten the loose ball.
He had to collect
it ahead.
He had to collect it
ahead.
Yeah.
He collected. He had his steps. He slowed down. This goes part to the avalanche of stupidity that he made. This also goes to the fact that he threw the ball away going across half court to who knows who. He threw back to Wemby and Castle, who weren't even across the half court line at this point in time.
He dribbled it off his foot with like a minute and a half left. Like he was doing all sorts of stupid stuff.
The way he fell apart in this game is one of the greatest collapses we've ever seen, and it should be studied.
He was great in the first half.
A big reason.
But a big reason. No. Julian Champagnie shot like garbage in this game.
1 for 9.
He shot like garbage in this game. De'Aaron Fox, I remember watching the last game when they won and going, if De'Aaron Fox gets his shot together, like his 3-point shot, watch out. And in the first half, De'Aaron Fox had that 3-pointer working, and it was like, you can't stop them. I'm still not entirely sure how the Knicks stopped them outside of the fact they just went from playing like kind of half-ass D to like full effort D after halftime, which is like, that's some good coaching. That's some good motivation. That's good experience. That's good veteran leadership. All that stuff, experience matters. But Fox made that really, 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 really stupid play. All he had to do was keep dribbling the ball. Like, oh, OG's on me. Keep dribbling the ball, dribble it out. Eventually, they got to foul him because otherwise he can just run out the clock. He gets free throws. He's a good free throw shooter. They got a 3-point lead. The Knicks get one shot. They probably miss it. Spurs win the game. Spurs win the game if he doesn't attempt that shot against OG. On the other side of the coin, I know you were like, how tall are you? You're like 6'7"?
Mm-hmm.
So when you played basketball, were you treated like a big man or like a perimeter player, or I guess like a wing?
I was an inside out guy. I could defensively. I was an inside out guy. Yeah.
Okay, so this will make sense to you because you've played a little bit on the outside. One things that really good, really thoughtful perimeter shooters will do is they will look at who is under the hoop before I shoot and factor that in. You're not always shooting to make the shot. When Jalen Brunson takes that shot with like 3 seconds left, he has both Fox and Wemby on him.
And Fox shouldn't have been there.
Right, and Fox shouldn't have been there. Fox actually left OG
Correct.
Because he didn't want to leave Wemby on an island with Brunson.
Which is insane.
Because he thought Brunson would cook him or whatever. So Brunson's 3 feet behind the 3-point line. As soon as he sees I have 2 guys on me, one of them is Wemby, he's like, we have numbers. If I throw this in the hoop, we're gonna have 4 guys trying to get a rebound against 3 guys. You don't think this was a factor? Let me explain something to you. When that ball went up, it was Dylan Harper, Stefan Castle, and Devin Vassell trying to box out Karl Anthony Towns, Mikal Bridges, Landry Shamet, which they shouldn't have even bothered to box him out, and OG. Do you know why OG made that play? Because nobody was boxing him out. You know why no one was boxing him out? Because Brunson knew he had two guys on him and he threw the ball at the hoop. Because he was like, if this goes in, we win. If this doesn't go in, we have a real chance at a rebound here. You don't think that was factored into his thinking at all?
That didn't factor into Jalen Brunson's thinking not one bit.
Wow.
You are giving Jalen Brunson a lot of credit. A lot of credit.
I've done that. I've done I got a big man on me. I'm beyond the 3-point line. If I throw this up, someone's going to get a board on my team.
Jalen Brunson shot that ball because he had just made a three a minute ago over Wemby. So he knew the measurements to get that ball over to make that shot. And by the way, almost made that shot. So I don't think he shot that ball because he thought they had some type of advantage in the interior at all. I think he shot that ball because he wanted to be the hero. I think he shot that ball because Jalen Brunson wanted to be the guy that capped a run of a 29-point comeback in the NBA Finals. I think Jalen Brunson shot that ball because on the New York Knicks, no matter what, Jalen Brunson is shooting that ball. I think Jalen Brunson shot that ball because Jalen Brunson thinks like the rest, like his daddy. The superstar shoots that ball no matter what. Kobe Bryant shoots that ball no matter what. Michael Jordan shoots that ball no matter what. People kill LeBron James because he passes that ball every single time. If that was LeBron at the top of the key, OG would have had a wide open three. But because Jalen Brunson wants to be the hero, Jalen Brunson shot that ball because he thought he was going to make the shot.
So
I don't think he shot.
So him not throwing it to OG for the open three was him. I was going to say being selfish. Him being the superstar, saying this is on me.
Absolutely.
I agree with that, and I also think he looked and he was like, if I shoot with two guys on me and one of them's Wemby, we got a real advantage. Like I think that's why he shot with 2 seconds instead of like 0.5.
Jalen Brunson shot that ball because he thought he could make that shot. I don't think he.
I don't disagree with that.
I don't think he saw De'Aaron Fox. By the way, I don't think
could be.
I don't think he even saw De'Aaron Fox. I think he saw Wemby and he was like, okay, I just made a three over him. I know how far he needs to be for me to make this shot because I just made one. And his calculation was off because he was in a slightly different position. So he was slightly further back. And that's why the shot was short. But because De'Aaron Fox, for whatever reason,
melting down,
thought the defensive player of the year, the greatest defensive player we've seen in the history of the NBA, couldn't defend Jalen Brunson.
Okay. I want to come back to Brunson because I have an interesting comp there, and I want to come back to OG because I have an interesting comp there. But before that, I want to go to the Spurs. What happened? Because I have theories about what happened, but I didn't see anything specific on the court where I was like, that's how they're killing him. It looked like a combination of two things. It looked like the Spurs ran out of energy because they were playing at such a high energy for the first half. And I think they a little bit let their foot off the gas because they were like, dog, we're up by 20. We took their soul. This crowd is quiet. Like we could just cruise to victory. And honestly, like they played maybe the worst half of basketball they have played all year. Definitely their worst half of the basketball in the playoffs, I think. And they still probably win this game if De'Aaron Fox doesn't try that layup. So they're not exactly wrong. But like, did you see anything else outside of like Wemby looked tired and the Spurs were kind of like, whatever, we'll keep chucking these shots. Eventually they'll go in.
You are, and I'm surprised because I'm surprised. I consider you a very astute person when it comes to
that's what I'm telling you. I missed whatever the hell was going on outside of the Knicks ran transition and tried to go quickly to really wear on Wemby running back and forth.
But how do you cannot overcome a 29-point lead, 28 in the second half.
Oh, the Knicks defense was great.
I'm not even giving the Knicks defense credit.
Okay, all right. I'm really interested now.
The San Antonio Spurs shot 14 threes in the third quarter.
Right.
They shot 8 threes in a row. In addition to
Oh,
that, the Knicks went on a 24 to nothing, 24 to 4, 20 to 4 run. Miss Johnson never called a timeout. Not one time during this run he called a timeout.
really?
I
He he
and this
he he called it towards the end. Towards the end.
this but this is why I'm telling you. At that point, the announcers, the most
Yeah.
impartial people watching the game was like, I think Mitch Johnson should call a timeout. I'm screaming, Mitch Johnson better start calling down timeouts.
By the
The
way,
reason why
Legler's been fantastic. I love
the,
Legler on these games. He's so
the,
good.
the reason why it's hard to imagine, it's hard to kind of encapsulate what happened because it's unimaginable what happened. You saw that game in the second quarter like I saw that game in the second quarter. This game's over. The fans aren't even cheering. This game is over. And even at the end of the second quarter, the run that the team usually has to go on to knock down this 29-point deficit, it never came. What happened was the San Antonio Spurs started chucking threes. Like, man, this game did end in the second quarter. We just got to finish out regular season game number 47 to get this win. And the Knicks said, no, buddy, this is the finals. We got to play to the very end. And Mitch Johnson, Little Mitch Johnson, if I had anything to do with the San Antonio Spurs, the only reason why I wouldn't fire him now is because there's nobody to coach the team to the end of this series. No one should have a job after this. The San Antonio Spurs have had a 10-point lead in every game this series. The San Antonio Spurs have had a 2-point lead or more in the last 4 minutes of every game of this series. And people keep saying, oh, they're young. That don't matter to me. What you saw in this game, the reason why they were able to come back is because when you lose that size of a lead, that's on the head coach. That's not on the players. That's on the head coach because the players are playing in the rhythm of the game. They made so many threes to stifle that crowd and to take that lead. The rhythm in which they were playing with had changed. But when you're on the court, you don't know that the rhythm is changing. You're just missing these shots. And so this is when a veteran coach would have gone, hey, timeout. Fellas, let's start working in the paint. Let's get back to our basics. Yes, the threes aren't falling. So let's get to the free throw line. We're in the bonus. Let's get to the free throw line. Let's get Wemby low in the post. We up 19 points. They're not defending as hard as they once were. Let's start working in the post. Let's start getting close to the basket because we're in the bonus. Like this idea that he did not call a timeout on a 20-4 run when you had a 29-point lead. Now you just lost 16 points of that lead and you're just watching the game. We are under-evaluating his rookie inability to make in-game changes. Because to me, they lost that game partially 30% because of De'Aaron Fox. They lost that game 60% because of Mitch Johnson. When you're on the court and everything is going your way, you are playing in rhythm. That's why they were taking those quick threes in the third quarter. That's why they were taking fast break threes, because those are the same threes they were making in the first and second quarters. So as a player, you're just saying, well, this one will go in. Well, this one will go in. At one point, Wemby shot 3 straight threes.
Yeah,
On
actually,
one possession.
I just saw he shot 8 3-pointers.
2 for 8.
When they win, his 3-pointer numbers are like 1 for 2, 2 for 4. 8? That's more 3-pointers than Jalen Brunson took. That's one less than OG Anunoby took. Did that lead their team? No, of course it didn't. Devin Vassell had 8, and De'Aaron Fox had 9.
Champagny had 7.
He shot more 3-pointers than Stephon Castle and Dylan Harper. Like that's was way too many 3-pointers.
This is a failure on Miss Johnson too. If I'm the New York Knicks coaching staff, if I'm the NBA, when I was the Oklahoma City Thunder, whoever the opponent is, every time he takes a 3, thank God. Every time he takes a three, you are bailing us out on defense. Every three he takes hurts the San Antonio Spurs offense because every three he takes, that's less pressure he's putting on the defense. He is an unstoppable force when he's inside the three-point line. But for some reason, Mitch Johnson thought it was wise to allow him to keep chucking threes without saying, hey, stop, stop, stop. Run this play. Run this, run that. A large portion of the third quarter was the San Antonio Spurs chucking threes. They had 76 points at halftime. They never cracked more than 16 points in a quarter after that. That's coaching.
Holy shit. They went 41-35, 14-16. That's unbelievable. And like my wife's a big Knicks fan, and so I'm watching with her, and she's screaming in the first half. Because I think part of this was, I think they were like, this is the game where we can't lose because Cat is gonna screw the Knicks. And they got those two fouls early. He gets yanked. It's not even 2 minutes into the game.
Those are fouls, though. Those are fouls.
They were completely legitimate fouls. Even the one that got reviewed and went from a Wemby foul to a Cat foul. That's a foul. That's a hook. He does that shit all the time.
All the time.
I think the Spurs were like, we can beat this team without Cat, and Cat is going to beat the Knicks, so we don't have to worry that much. And he comes out, and like Mitch Robinson, awful. I don't think he can play in this game anymore. I don't think he can play in this series anymore. They have figured him out. They bring in Huck Porty, and like it took Mike Brown less time than it would have taken him to vomit on the sidelines before he pulled Huck Porty out of that game and was like, no. And so I think, and my wife's sitting there going, put Towns back in. You're going to have to trust him. Put Towns back in. He'll figure it out. And I was like, no, you don't understand. When you get in foul trouble, you don't stay in foul trouble the rest of the game. You go sit on the bench until everyone else has the same amount of fouls as you.
And now you go back in.
Now it's even. And like with Cat, there's this assumption like he's going to go in and he's just going to start making fouls again. They're going to yank him again. And that did happen to a certain degree.
Yes.
But in the fourth quarter, he figured it out. He actually scored 5 points in this fourth quarter. That's more,
I know, right? I laughed when they put that stat up.
0, 5. And I was like, those are big points. They won by 1 after a giant fourth quarter comeback. And like he played great defense. He did all this stuff just in limited minutes. And it was like the first half, Cat was in real foul trouble, and it really screwed up the Knicks. And the second half, they just waited. Mike Brown was like, I'm going to do everything I can to just buy time. All right, Cat, even playing field, go. And Cat played great.
We'll talk about the Knicks because I want to give the Knicks a cascade of acknowledgement, respect, and credit. We're going to get to the Knicks.
I have so many Knicks thoughts still.
And this is why, again, Mitch Johnson deserves the bulk of the blame for this. Even after everything had gone wrong, and I mean everything that could go wrong did go wrong. It was so unexplainable how bad this had gone wrong. Everyone was stunned. Even after all that, they still had a chance to win the game. And the play you draw up is for Dylan Harper to be your inbounder. A rookie who's not known for passing is now making the second most important pass in Spurs history. And you mean to tell me you're going to give it to the guy who really got drafted on offense, is making his name in the NBA Finals on offense? You're going to trust this guy to throw the ball over Karl Anthony Towns at the most critical point of the game. Not only did you manage to not get this kid a shot within 10 minutes, so now you're going to ask an offensive player to make the most important pass of the game, and that's not his game. He didn't get drafted for passing. If you want to put somebody there to make that pass, why didn't you put De'Aaron Fox there? Why? So I ask again, why is he on the court at that point? If De'Aaron Fox is not the inbounder, what other value does he have with 1.2 seconds? And in addition to that, the play that you run, a back screen for a lob to Steph Castle, which, by the way, if Cat doesn't tip that ball, maybe he catches it, maybe he doesn't. but the likelihood of him catching that and scoring, very slim in comparison to the 7-4 guy you got setting a back screen. Again, Mitch Johnson, this play made no sense because when the game came down to it, when the game was on the line, you went to everybody but Wemby. And you can tell me he's tired, and I hear that. But I would rather have my best player missing. I'd rather have my global phenomenon with the ball in his hands making the decision. Yeah, he threw the ball away last game. We got to live with that because you know what he did? He came back in game 3 and had a monster game. He looking up going, man, we lost a 29-point lead. Okay. Hey, big fella, save me again. I'm going to throw it to you. In Wemby, we trust. You draw a back screen for Stephon Castle off a pass from Dylan Harper, who ain't scored, ain't took a shot in 10 minutes? The strategy, the reason why you're like, I can't understand how that happened. The reason why people are struggling to understand how the Spurs got into that situation because they're watching the game from a standpoint of the players. When you lose a 29-point lead, this is a coaching error. You had Dylan Harper inbounding the ball. Dylan Harper doesn't have a single pass highlight in his reel. It's not in there. It's dunks, it's plays at the basket, it's step backs. There are no passes. Specifically, there are no lob passes in this highlight package. So when you're on the timeout, you're drawing this play up. Nobody on your staff will, hey, whoa. Let Fox make the pass. Whoa. Let Champagnie make the pass. Let someone else make this pass. Nah, we gonna go to the guy who ain't shot in 10 minutes. Like, give De'Aaron Fox an opportunity to redeem the stupidity that he just put you in. Throw the ball to your world-renowned 7-4. No one's ever seen this ever in the history of the game. Yeah, he's tired. They're all tired.
I have two quick responses here. One is Vic was tired.
Yeah, Vic, they all were tired.
No, I know. We're going to get into this. Vic played 44 minutes. The only other person on either team who played 44 minutes was Jalen Brunson, who is a 1.5 feet shorter than him and built like a fire hydrant, right? Which probably tells me that their minutes
I got something for this too. I got something for this. Go ahead.
It's probably a sign that the Spurs are just tying Vic to Brunson, and like when he's on the court, you're on the court. When he's not on the court, you get off the court. But I was just talking about this with so Towns gets in foul trouble. They try Mitch. Mitch doesn't do that great. They try Huck Porty. Huck Porty doesn't do that great. They go some minutes with OG at center. They're just buying time until Towns can come back. They've been doing the same thing with their guards, right? They bring in Landry Shamet. If Landry Shamet doesn't have it, you try Jordan Clarkson. Jordan Clarkson doesn't have it, you try Jose Alvarado. They all bring a little different something, but they're all playing the same position, and you're just shuffling through until you find something that works. Victor Wembanyama playing 44 minutes in this game when they had basically a 30-point lead at halftime, that people were praising Mitch Johnson up and down in the last game for his efficient uses of timeouts and challenges in the fourth quarter so that Vic could play the whole fourth quarter, but he would have enough downtime to rest so he wouldn't get tired and all that stuff. Why, outside of the fact that Mitch Johnson was obviously a little freaked out that what happened could happen, why were they not spending the third quarter trying to buy some time for Wemby to sit on the bench? Like Cornette, you get a few minutes. That doesn't work. Bismack Biyombo, you get a few minutes. Mason Plumlee, you get a few minutes. Like at the end of the day, you could have bought at least 9 minutes of Wemby on the bench in the second half. And I think he maybe played the entire second half during the entire comeback. He's on the floor. Uh-huh. And then at the end, you're going to be like, hey, I need you to win me this game, big fella. Like, you got to work with him a little bit. And they did it in the last game. But in this game, just to be like, hey, bud, you're playing the entire second half, and I really need you to come through at the end is a little crazy. And the fact that he wasn't trying, Kelly Olynyk is on there. I just saw him on the bench. Harrison Barnes is there. Like, these are guys that didn't play, that when you're up by 20, they can buy you 3 minutes. And I understand that you're like, oh, I don't want them to get hot. I don't want them to get in a rhythm. It happened anyway.
And this is why Mitch Johnson is to blame. You just nailed the guy who didn't play. He hadn't played in 2 games. Harrison Barnes is the only player on this roster with actual NBA Finals on the court experience. He's one of the only players on the roster with a
Luke
championship ring. No. Don't you, Luke. I almost cursed you out. Don't you, Luke Cornett.
He played a little bit.
Harrison, the Warriors don't
Barnes
win
was a starter,
without Harrison Barnes. And so the fact that he hasn't played and Luke Cornett has.
That was like 20 years ago.
It doesn't matter.
I know.
In a situation like that, where you're up 29, how about you play with their head instead of going to Luke Cornett? Go super small. Go small ball. Put Harrison Barnes at the 5.
Just try stuff. Just try stuff. You're up by 29. Just try stuff.
Put other guys in the game that you know they have experience, and don't put Carter Bryant in the game at that point. Put Harrison Barnes in the game, a veteran who can stem the tide, who can say, yo, wait, we up 29. Stop shooting threes like this. Somebody who can do that on the court, because De'Aaron Fox isn't. But you chose to put in Luke Cornett for 3 minutes, and he just shit the bed. So the idea, again, I've been on Mitch Johnson's back about this the entire time. I really was crushing him during the Thunder series until Cornett got that block, so it paid off for him. Bismack Biyombo is a teacher at this point. Okay, I know why. I see why you want to play. Mason Plumlee can actively give you what Mitchell Robinson is giving you. Kelly Olynyk can actually make threes.
Sure.
Kelly Olynyk can make NBA threes consistently. He can score the basketball, but you don't play him. In favor of Luke Cornett, who, again, if you put Kelly Olynyk on the court as the 5, because he can guard Cat and he's dirty as hell, you open the floor, and he can give you as physical, hard-played minutes as Cornett is giving you, but he can also make threes. So it changes the dynamic of how you defend them. If your first 2 off the bench are Harrison Barnes and Kelly Olynyk, the defense looks different against them. And they've never seen it. And these are 2 guys who have played meaningful minutes in the NBA, and they're not afraid of the stage that they're now in. Keldon Johnson has done absolutely nothing. Luke Cornett has done absolutely nothing. But because of some, I don't know, you keep running the same people out there. And you've lost every lead you've had in this series because you keep doing the same thing over and over. I saw something on television last night, and I yelled at the television. This was after I had done this show, because if it wasn't, I'd have come out and I'd have said this. The idea that people keep talking about, oh, well, the Spurs still think they can win, because I think this thing is over. Oh, the Spurs still think they can win. Oh, they were up by this point, and then they were up by this point, and they won game 3, and they were up by 29 in this game. But if you're the Knicks, and this is where we can turn this into the Knicks. If you're the Knicks, now it doesn't matter how many they up. We know they'll choke. It doesn't matter how many they winning by. They also now know we can still get them. So it doesn't matter whether it's a short lead or whether it's a big lead. They know we got to win 1 game in the next 3.
Yeah,
they know.
They're exactly where the Celtics have been for the last 7 or 8 years. The Celtics got one. That's good. Even after they got one, when they're up 20 in a game, everyone's like, watch them start falling in love with jumpers. Watch, here it comes. The ISO ball. Oh, it's down to 7. Like, that's who they're going to be for a while until they prove that that's not who they are. Because right now, that's kind of who they are.
Real quick, because you said something, and it skipped me, and now I want to get back to it real quick.
Yeah.
You said that Wemby was tired, and I said I have something for that, because I do have something for that. You look at Wemby's minutes, and people are saying, well, maybe he was tired. If you're watching the game, you watch the comeback. It wasn't bruising. It wasn't the physicality that got them the lead. It wasn't the physicality that you're used to him fighting. he was basically doing cardio from 3-point line to baseline, 3-point line to baseline.
Yep.
There was no movement in their offense. There was no ball rotation. There are these stupid high screen pick and rolls where he uses both his hands. I don't know how this
What
isn't an
is
offense.
this? Why do you scream with your arms like this? That's illegal.
I don't know how.
That's an illegal
I don't know how the
screen.
league allows him to screen with both his hands extended. I don't know. But that's what he did for 16 minutes in the second half. For 16 minutes. 12 of those minutes that were in the bonus. He stayed outside the 3-point line ineffectively, screening with both hands and shooting threes. So I'm not with the school of people like, oh, he was tired. I was watching the game. He wasn't moving slower. He didn't look gassed to me. He looked shocked. Like the other 4 guys on the court or the other 3 guys looking at De'Aaron Fox going, bro, what are you doing? Like they all looked at, with the exception of Stephon Castle. He was the only one that didn't look shocked, but he plays like a wrecking ball. So he got a lot of Westbrook in him. He don't care what the score is. He going to the basket.
I actually don't think I've never seen an emotion from Steph Castle, high or low. Like he's nothing.
He is a freight train. So to me, I'm watching this game, and I really feel like, from a standpoint of where was he tired? Wemby was no tired than everybody else. I think he was shocked. I think he was shocked because at the point he was looking at Mitchell Robinson and laughing in his face and going, I'm in your head. I'm in your head. He thought they had won. He thought it was over. And you can chalk that up to youth. Yeah, you can. But this is why you need a coach who's also not 29 years old or whatever the hell Mitch Robinson is. Or whatever, Mitch Johnson, whatever his name.
Like, compare him to, what's the name of the Celtics coach who's also like 29 years old?
But you know what he did? I'm glad you brought that up, Joe Mazzulla.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you brought that up because I was thinking about this because I didn't get into it in my show last night. I'm so glad you brought this up. The difference between Mitch Johnson and Joe Mazzulla, they're very similar. The difference is Joe Mazzulla can coach his way out of a situation. Now, it might not work, but Joe Mazzulla going to try something different. Joe Mazzulla started Ron Harper Jr. in a closeout game.
Because he was trying stuff.
Because he's going to try something else. Joe Mazzulla has the balls to try something else. Mitch Johnson is being coached with puppet strings, and that's why he got this job. Mitch Johnson got this. Mitch Johnson got this.
But both of them, it's comparable because both of them took the job as head coach, and
something crazy happened.
And the previous head coach went into the front office and still kind of oversaw the coaching, just wasn't sitting on the sidelines making the decisions.
But the difference between the two is it still looks like Greg Popovich is making the decisions. It looks like Joe Mazzulla is coaching. I'm telling you, man, Mitch Johnson doesn't make any adjustments until the game is over and he has spoken to Greg Popovich.
I know. I've noticed the exact same thing. They don't make adjustments until after a game, and then they're all like, we talked to Pop, and now we got it. And it's glaring. It's a little weird, yeah.
It's utterly glaring that he's being out-coached by Mike Brown, who's mid in terms of NBA coaching hierarchy. Mike Brown is a good man. Mike Brown has had success in the NBA. Mike Brown is not a top-tier coach.
No, I've never heard. He's not a great coach.
He's a good coach.
Yes.
I've never heard of anybody say Mike Brown out-coached him until now. Until Mitch Johnson is being out-coached because Greg Popovich is still coaching the team. They don't make any adjustments until the following game. And I think Mike Brown knows this too now.
Yeah, so he's that's why he's like screwing around with stuff during the game, because he's like, if this doesn't work, go with this. If this doesn't work, go with this.
Because he's coaching.
Well, and also because at some point he knows he's going to land on something. The Spurs are going to go, whoa, what's that? What do we do now? We'll talk with Pop about it. We'll figure it out. I don't think you're wrong. Also, this is the thing I always do, and I'm going to keep doing it. I'm sorry if this interrupts the train of thought or whatever, but I have to do it.
Go ahead.
we look at players, especially young players, as they're going to keep getting better, right? We rarely do this with coaches. Mike Brown is a good, not great coach. Mike Brown
Correct.
is also a much better coach than he was when he was the Cavs coach. Much better. He has
Okay.
gotten significantly better. The same way we view these players as the more time they spend in these situations, the better they get at them, the more they know how to address them, deal with them, all that stuff. I think it's important to associate that same level of like progress and betterment to the coaches as well. And I don't think Mike Brown now is as bad as Mike Brown has been in the past. I think this is the best Mike Brown has ever been. And yeah, I think he would still probably get they would still coach circles around him if this was I'm forgetting names. Eric Spoelstra, if this was Rick
Correct.
Carlisle,
Correct.
maybe Steve Kerr, although I feel like he's overrated. But
Mike Malone.
I mean, he's not even coaching right now. I don't think. Is he coaching
Eh,
North
Mike
Carolina?
Mike Malone, yeah. Mike Malone got fired because Jokic said, I'm tired of this guy cursing me out every day. I can't take it.
Yeah. And look, he was fighting with the GM, all that stuff. I want to talk about two players with you since we're running out of time. I have kind of comps in my head for both of them that I want your
Oh,
response to.
we don't got time today unless you got to go. We got plenty of time today. But
I,
continue.
I mean, I got like an hour. I got another hour.
We're not going to do that.
So here's the two players I want to talk to you about and the comps that live in my head. And I'll let you pick which one you want to go first. You want to do OG first? You want to do Alvarado first?
Oh, I'd rather do OG Anunoby before I talk about Alvarado.
Let's do OG. I was texting with our old coworker, my former co-host Darren Smith this
Shout out.
morning, and he was saying that when the Knicks traded for OG, he was pissed at what they gave back. He was pissed that they gave up on Quickly. He was pissed that they got rid of RJ Barrett. He was pissed they gave up all those picks because he was like, really, like, this is OG Anunoby. And I think now it's not perfect. I think there's a really good comparison between OG Anunoby and Kawhi Leonard. And I'm sure people have made that in the past. But OG is faster and better defensively than a guy who is as big and as strong as he should be. And that's true of Kawhi too. And part of it with Kawhi is he's got the giant hands and all that stuff. OG's just, I think maybe a better athlete than Kawhi like ever was. But the reason the Raptors got him from the Spurs was he was heading into free agency and no one knew if he was ever going to be healthy for like more than a couple weeks, couple months at a time. The reason that the Knicks got OG was the Raptors were not really trying to win anymore. And B, the rest of the league kind of looked at OG like, yeah, you're good, but you're never healthy. And when the Knicks in the last couple of years have gotten into the playoffs, one of the things that has really screwed them up is when OG has gotten hurt. They can't get over the hump without him. This feels slightly like Kawhi Leonard's Toronto Raptors year, where it's just like, and now on that team, Kawhi carried that team. OG is not quite carrying the Knicks, but the way that was like Kawhi and Kyle Lowry together were like
Pascal
everything.
Siakam.
And Pascal Siakam were like everything that the Raptors needed. And it was just like everything was kind of breaking their way. I think there's some really good comparisons to be made between what OG is doing now and what Kawhi did with the Raptors. But OG's younger. He doesn't have all the surgeries on his knees that Kawhi had. I just think it's an interesting comparison. What do you think about the OG Kawhi comparison?
I think that's insane.
That's fair.
I think that's crazy. Here's why. OG Anunoby is the third best player on this roster. He's just been the most productive. OG Anunoby is Andre Iguodala. When Steph Curry's there, when Klay Thompson's there, OG Anunoby and Andre Iguodala can shine.
But Andre
no
Iguodala was scoring like 7 points a game. OG's doing like 2015 every night.
But my point being is their presence on the court is equal.
He had 33 points last night. Andre Iguodala's never done that.
The Knicks, respect Finals MVP, Andre Iguodala. The Knicks.
You shouldn't have won it.
The Knicks go Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, first and foremost. No one's going to deny that. The Spurs on their who do we defend chart have basically said, We're going to guard OG Anunoby one-on-one this entire time. And whatever he gets, he gets.
Okay,
And
wait.
he is,
Maybe compare him to the Kawhi Leonard Finals MVP with the Spurs then, when he was thought to be the
then I would
third
say
best
that's more,
player on that
I would
team.
say that's maybe the fourth. I would say that's more accurate because at that point you got Tim Duncan, you got Tony Parker, and you got Manu Ginobili coming off the bench as sixth man of the year. And Kawhi Leonard is in the midst of that, just cooking. And
Right.
nobody knows why because you can't put your finger on it because you got to guard Tim Duncan, you got to guard Tony Parker, and when Manu Ginobili comes off the bench, you got to guard him. But this guy is killing us.
Killing him.
But if we put any focal point on him alone, these other guys will kill us.
And Danny Green goes crazy.
And that's what's happening. And then in one game, Josh Hart went crazy. This is why you are seeing him shoot 7 for 9 from 3. And it appears that they have not called attention to it because they can't. Because the second you turn your attention to OG Anunoby,
Towns and Brunson,
then Jalen, if you put Stephon Castle on OG Anunoby to turn off that faucet, you shut that power off, Jalen Brunson will get 50. And you can't, from a standpoint of coaching, as is already bad, you cannot have that guy beat you. You already had Karl Anthony Towns basically play his way into conversation for Finals MVP, which is now over, through the first 2 games. But now you cannot allow Jalen Brunson or Karl Anthony Towns to beat you because now you have to focus your energy on guarding, putting your best defender on OG Anunoby, a guy who they don't run plays for. This is why it's so difficult to stop him. They're not running plays for him.
Ever.
He's making threes off penetration when guys are helping, broken plays, offensive rebounds. He's just making plays. That's why the comparison to the Kawhi version of the Spurs works with him, because there's so many other parts that you have to focus on. And in the huddle, the Spurs game plan is going, but they're not running plays for him.
Yeah, they're like, hey, we're gonna run a Tim Duncan, Tony Parker pick and roll. Kawhi, you stand in the corner, you'll probably get an open shot off it.
Right.
And it's the same thing. You're right. It's the same thing.
This is why Devin Vassell's guarding him. This is why Justin Champagne's guarding him. Because at the end of the day, they're not going to draw a play up for him. So you don't leave him too far and box him out.
And those are guys that are in the game for the Spurs for their shooting, not for their defense. No, okay, but so the Kawhi comp is good. It's just good earlier.
You had the time period wrong.
I had the time period wrong.
But you had the player correct just at the wrong time period. Because with the Spurs, you're 100% on because of the making of the team. Similar to Andre Iguodala, the making of the team allows them to lie dormant because you don't know what they're going to give you, even though at the end of the game, 20, 25, 27, 30. Like last night, he was 7 for 9 from threes. A lot of those were defended threes by Champagnie or Vassell. But he's bigger, he's taller than them, he's jab stepping them, and because of his ability to drive, you defend against that. And so when you take that extra step back, that corner 3, he is crushing that corner 3.
Also, I have not had an opportunity to have a conversation with anyone about this yet, so I'm glad that I'm talking with you about this. Remember last year, I think it was last year, when Miles Bridges' jump shot was broken? Or Mikal Bridges' jump shot was broken. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And it looked weird, and it wasn't going in for months. And people were like, does he have to go back to the old jump shot? Is this going to be a Markelle Fultz situation where he'll never find a good jump shot again? But you could see what they were trying to do. And what they were trying to do is they were trying to get his release point as high as possible because he's got these big, long arms.
Right.
And they're like, if you get your release point really high, then anytime you have a smaller guy guarding you, that's an easy shot for you.
Buckets.
OG does the same thing. His release point is like arms extended. It is so hot, which means Devin Vassell can't get to it. Champagnie can a little bit, which is when he'll go to the jab step more often, but he really can't because OG is huge.
A big guy.
I wonder if that's like a Knicks thing. If they're just like, hey, we got this guy. He's going to train your shot to be the highest release point possible to help you match up against smaller guys. Alvarado. This one is going to be a little crazier.
Can I say something before you go down the road on this?
Please. Yeah.
He should have been thrown out of the game last night.
Oh, for tackling Wemby. Yes, absolutely. That should have been a flagrant too. I agree.
from a guy who set the tone by saying, we'll let that happen once. We're not going to let that happen again. And I thought the Knicks got blown out early in the game because they spent way too much time complaining to the referees. I thought they played right into the Spurs' hands.
So much.
Every single time any point of contact happened, the crowd went crazy, the coach went crazy, the player went crazy.
It. Yeah.
Looking at the referee, and the Spurs were just bombing threes while they were complaining. Jose Alvarado turned to box out Victor Wembanyama after not being able to box him out on the first attempt, loses his footing, turns around and just these kneecaps, takes both his arms, wraps him around Wemby's leg, and pulls. This is a thing where if Wemby falls down and Wemby gets hurt, now it's a story. Now he's dirty. Now it's a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
But because he didn't get hurt, because Wemby never fell down and never stayed on the ground like most of these guys do when they go down, the referees went to review it and called it a common foul. I don't know how in this series, in that setting, that was a common foul when that is a deliberate wind up and jerk. I didn't understand it. And so I don't know what comparison you're going to draw for him, but I wanted to see if you saw what I saw when I thought he should have been thrown out, and that should have been a flagrant too.
I 100% agree. For a lot of reasons. But yeah, it's similar to was it 2016 when Draymond missed a game because he kicked LeBron in the balls?
Yeah.
Like, it would be like if he barely missed and he hit him in the leg and LeBron didn't react at all. And they're like, well,
right.
Flagrant one, I guess, because he didn't actually nail him in the balls. Like, it's still the spirit of it matters. And
absolutely.
It should have mattered. That being said, outside of that very dirty play, I'm one of those guys. I don't know if you are. I find it really difficult to hate Jose Alvarado because he's going to give you max effort.
Mm-hmm.
He loves the
From
crowd.
New York?
Yeah, he loves the crowd. Crowd loves him because New York kid. And he's also just really, really smart on the basketball court. Like, his brain operates very quickly, arguably faster than almost any other player on that court. And I thought when he came in during the comeback and just stayed in, and it was just like, you get like Bridges minutes now, just go. I thought he was brilliant because what he did was he stayed close to Brunson when they were bringing the ball up to be like, if they're going to double you, I am right here. I am also a point guard. I can pass, I can dribble, I can drive to the hoop, I can make a three. And he got assists off that. He made threes off that. I think he got a floater off that at one point. His was the floater that they thought was an alley-oop, and so Cornette rejected it, and it should have been a goaltend, but it was probably a floater.
It was a lob. It was a lob.
It was, yeah, my wife was freaking out about that. I was like, it was obviously
it was a lob.
Now it's a lob that maybe would have gone in the hoop if he hadn't touched it, but it was a lob. And again, the spirit matters here. What I thought he did that was so brilliant was anytime he had the ball, he would call for Wemby's guy. And he would do the pick and roll with Wemby, and Wemby would switch on to him. And that's exactly what he wanted. And the Spurs were like, well, yeah, what are you going to do against Wemby or Jose Alvarado? And he would just like dribble in circles and get Wemby to wherever he wanted him to be on the court that was away from the action of the play. And then he'd be like, all right, guys, have fun. No Wemby in the middle. And he would like throw them the ball, and they would create action out of it every single time. And I was like, Alvarado has changed this offense. And like, we're like, oh, like everyone on the Knicks can dribble and everyone on the Knicks can pass. Josh Hart can't run an offense. Mikal Bridges can't run an offense. OG Anunoby can't run an offense. They can dribble, they can pass. They can't run an offense. Jose Alvarado can run an offense.
Neither can Deuce McBride.
Neither can Deuce McBride. Jose Alvarado can run an offense. And what he was doing yesterday was literally distorting what the defense wanted, putting Wemby wherever he wanted him to be, and then running the offense from there. And it was so smart. It was so great. And it really reminded me of the, 2022 Mavericks that had Brunson and Luka. And all throughout the year it was like, oh man, what are we going to do? They're just doubling Luka. They're doubling Luka like he's James Harden, whatever. And then they got to the playoffs and they had that one game where Luka was out. He had like hamstring thing. Brunson scores like 50. And they were like, okay, well now we have two of these guys. And so they would just do the same thing where it'd be like, if you're going to double Luka, Brunson's going to be right here. And now your defense is in his control and he can run the offense from wherever he wants. And you're in a bad position. And it made them stop doubling Luka. And then that Dallas team, I think, went all the way to the finals. Did they go to the finals in Luka's in Brunson's last year? Was that
I
year?
don't think. No,
I think it was. I think it was the
I
year.
don't-
I think I'm talking about the year before they went to the finals.
Yes.
But it reminded me of a similar thing. Now, I don't think like Alvarado's going to start and Alvarado's going to play 30 minutes and they found something or whatever. But I think what they found is like, hey, if like Brunson had as many turnovers as assists last game, and then last night he had like 8 or 10 assists and like 3 turnovers. And I honestly think the difference in those numbers, a lot of it was Alvarado. And like, that is now a tool that Mike Brown has in his thing that goes like, if you're going to double Brunson and our offense gets junked up, I'm just going to pull Bridges. I'm going to throw in Alvarado. Now we got 2 guys who can run the offense. And I thought that was really smart. And it was really like good coaching. Actually, there was a guy in the comments a minute ago yelling at us saying that we were wrong and that Mike Brown is a top tier coach. I don't think he's there yet, but
shout out to Biggie Bob.
I think what he's doing with his bench is really smart. What he's doing with his guards is really smart. And I think Alvarado being like the smart guy who could see how the defense was hurting the Knicks and knew exactly how to put them in a bad position helped them on that comeback a lot more than anyone else wants to talk about.
I think Jose Alvarado is JJ Barea.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good comp too.
I think it works when it works, and when it doesn't work, get him out of there and sit him down.
Agreed, 100%.
The Knicks bench was going to win you a game. Last night was the game. I said before this series started on the Sporting Tribune, the nightly show on the Sporting Tribune, I said that in this series, Wemby's going to not play well in one game, and then he's going to throw another game away, and the Knicks are just going to win a game. Last night, the Knicks they won the game. Wemby threw game 2 away, and he vanished in almost every game at some point, but with the exception of game 3. But it's playing out. It's playing out now. Again, I think this is over because that 29-point comeback is up here now. It's not about what's in here. It's about what's up here now. And so I think Jose Alvarado was a card to play, just like at game 3 when Mike Brown was just throwing guys on the court to see who could do what, and it turned out Jordan Clarkson was the guy for that night. It just didn't materialize into a W. I thought last night his move to keep Jose Alvarado in the game materialized into a W, but now Greg Popovich will be able to look at the film, and Greg Popovich will cut that off now. So this was the in-game adjustment that Mitch Johnson wasn't prepared for that happened, and he had no idea what to do about it. So in the next game, watch they have an answer for that, because Pop would have now gone, okay, do this instead of that, and we'll get a victory. And let's spin the back end of this, giving the Knicks credit. I was not a believer. I'm not finna front to y'all. I was not a believer. I didn't think the Knicks had it. I thought the Knicks had a chance more against the Spurs than they did the Thunder, simply just because of what we're seeing.
Experience, yeah.
But I even didn't take their experience into account because a lot of those guys have never done anything in the finals either. This Jalen Brunson's he's been 4 games as the main player in the finals. Same as Wemby. Same for Cat. Same for Cat. Same for Bridges.
Okay, but Brunson has played a lot of playoff games.
A lot of basketball.
Just a lot of playoff games. He's been in the playoffs like for 7 or 8 straight years now. And what I see the Spurs struggling with is those moments of frenzy when the crowd is out of control and everyone's giving max effort and guys are falling on the ground and appearing faster than you thought they would on D. Like those moments of frenzy when you're like the feels like the top of the stadium could pop off at any moment. The Knicks are calm in that. And I think it's because like this is, I hate to be this guy, but like part of this group of the Knicks are guys that won national championships together. And
that matters.
It matters. And the whole team is made up of dudes that have played a ton of playoff games. Cat has played a ton of playoff games. Not all of them good, but a ton of playoff games.
Most of them unsuccessful.
Right. But when you get to those moments of frenzy, they go, I remember this. And I remember what worked for me last time to calm me down, or I remember don't get sped up or whatever. And it's like the Spurs felt some of that with the Thunder, but they haven't had time to reflect on it, grow on it, figure out strategies for it, whatever. So they still go like, oh, I can't hear my thoughts because it's so loud. And I think they're just getting a little sped up in those moments where the Knicks are like, I don't know. I've been in a lot of games like this, even if it's not the finals.
I hear what you're saying. I really do.
Finals are different.
I just can't stand by that. Because game 3, you saw the Knicks really lose themselves in the hoopla far more than the Spurs did. In this game, you saw them get caught up in the whole referee situation far more than the Spurs did.
I think the MSG thing is actually a bit of a problem for them. Like, I know it helped them last night on the comeback side of things, but I think they get there and they're like, the fucking president's here, Taylor Swift's here.
For
Like,
what reason she's there, I don't know.
oh, she's a Knicks fan, dog. You don't know that?
Bruh, she there because she in Toy Story 2, and Toy Story 2 is a Disney movie. The game's on ABC.
Oh,
Therefore, she got tickets to the game.
She's been going to Knicks games for
Since when?
Like 15 years now.
I'm gonna look that up after this show.
Go, I'll send you a picture. There's a famous picture of her. She got to play, like, it was when she was like starting to get kind of famous, and she was going to Knicks games and everything. And they had her come out for a practice, and there's a picture of her in like a Knicks jersey with a basketball hanging with Melo and Amare, who were on the Knicks at that time. And she's got like the picture of the three of them. She's like, just look up like Taylor Swift Knicks before last night. There's a ton of stuff there. Whatever.
Buddy.
But I think the Knicks got there and they kind of looked around and they went like, ooh, this is a big deal. And I don't know if that's going to be true again in game 6. We'll see. But I do think the crowd is having a negative effect on the Knicks a little bit.
I think the crowd has affected the Knicks way more than it's affected the Spurs in New York.
I think that's right.
By a mile. Right. I don't think it's close because they play there. And even for them, it's like, whoa, this is crazy.
We can come back to Taylor Swift if you want. There's a guy in the comments who just called her a clout chaser. Buddy,
I agree.
That's the most popular person on earth. Whose clout is she chasing?
She's surfing on the moment. Hear me out. If what you say is true, she is a Knicks fan. She's also the richest entertainer, probably outside of Michael Jackson, ever at this point.
Sure.
She could have been at these games like Timothée Chalamet. Timothée Chalamet is a fan. Ben Stiller's a fan. Spike Lee's a fan. If you want to tell me Taylor Swift showing up in a Stevie Nicks shirt with 3 of her friends, pretending to cheer because the camera's watching for the Knicks makes her a fan, then cool. I caught something that many people haven't caught. Monica McNutt is a play-by-play announcer for the Knicks.
Oh, that's my girl. I love Monica. We love each other.
She was caught on a hot mic telling her co-host, yeah, Taylor Swift is here. And he went, no, she's not. She's like, yeah, look down there right there in the blue. So the guy's looking to try to find her. Monica McNutt goes, I don't know what the hell she's doing here. She ain't a Knicks fan. So when I tell you, she's surfing on the moment. Just like DJ Khaled surfing on the moment. Bro, I don't know where the hell you been, but you spent the whole time on your phone at the game. I don't know what the hell Rahm Emanuel doing in the front row. He not a Knicks fan. Larry David is a sports fan. I've seen Larry David courtside at more Lakers games than I've seen him at Knicks games. What are you doing cheering your balls out for the Knicks all of a sudden, Larry David? That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that at one point in time, an up-and-coming artist getting seen with Melo and Amari didn't take advantage of that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying the current iteration of her as a Knicks fan seems like a clout-chasing moment. Now, she is the clout, no doubt. But in that particular moment, in that arena, for them to have scored the tip-in of all tip-ins in NBA history, why are you showing her and not OG Anunoby? Why are you not showing the bench reaction? Why are you not showing these guys hugging? Why are you not showing the bench dejected? Why don't you have cameras on the things that you normally have cameras on, the players? Why do I have to immediately see her jumping up and down with 4 people? Ben Stiller hugging, real Knicks fan, hugging people. Timothée Chalamet hugging his girl who she knew to this, but she true to this, and she rocking with him. So I'm not buying it, dog. I'm not a Taylor Swift hater. I just call it like I see it. I think she's a phony. Her music is awesome for the people who listen to it. But for her to show up at the Knicks game wearing a Stevie Nicks shirt, stop it. Stop it.
First of
Stop
all,
it.
the Stevie Nicks
Stop
shirt
it.
is fucking awesome. I want a Stevie Nicks shirt. It's badass.
But if you a Knicks fan, you Taylor Swift, you a billionaire. You gotta have a jersey. Stop it. You gotta have a jacket nobody else. When she go to Chiefs games, she got jackets nobody ever seen before. She got one-on-one custom-made jackets. She's a Chiefs fan. When you go to the Knicks game, clout chasing, you show up in a print Stevie Nicks shirt that everybody else can get their hands on.
Okay. The jackets she wears to the Chiefs game, the one-on-one jackets, are made. They're custom made
a wife of the team. Yes.
By a wife of actually a San Francisco 49ers player.
Yes.
So it was sent to her. Here, I made you a custom thing. And she's like, that's dope. You put in the effort. I will wear it. The Stevie Nicks shirt, you don't know that, A, first of all, that's a one-on-one thing. And B, it looks like they made them herself, like her and her friends. No, they all said different things. One of them said Nickelback. One of them said, what was the other one? There was Stevie Nicks, Nickelback, and a different one. It doesn't matter. Oh, open up your phone. I just sent you 4 old ass pictures of Taylor Swift at Knicks games. In one of them, she's literally sitting next to Ben Stiller, and they're cheering on the Knicks. Like,
my phone's in another room. I'll check it out after the show.
She ain't new to this, bro. She's true to this. Like, so I'm telling you, she's a Knicks fan, and despite the fact that she's not there at every single game, I think it's okay. Like, Jerry Seinfeld was there last night. Jerry's not at every single game, but he's like, it's an NBA Finals Knicks game at Madison Square Garden. Like, I gotta go. Are you going to be like, Jerry Seinfeld's not a real Knicks fan because he wasn't there at every single game? Like, no, it's fine.
But Jerry Seinfeld is based in New York. The greatest comedy in the history of television is based in New York City.
Okay.
And Jerry Seinfeld has shown up at Knicks games.
So has she. I just sent you the pictures.
But not. I'll look at them. But that's nor here or there. Anyway, because I never meant for this to turn into her. But the idea that the Knicks could win that game last night, I have to give the Knicks credit because I was not, like I was saying before, I'm not a believer. I was never a believer. And to a certain degree, now I'm still skeptical. But they've done it. They've swayed me with their play, with their fight, with their tenacity, and with the just ability to just not give up. So I thought the Spurs would win this in 6 or 7. The 7 could still happen. The 6 is impossible now. I think the Knicks will win one more game before the Spurs can win 3 more games. I don't think this is a Draymond Green situation or a LeBron situation where they come back from down 3-1. Because I don't see anybody get ejected for kicking anybody in the nuts. Important to the level of Draymond Green was. You can't foresee an injury. But I hope the Knicks do not get an injury that will take away from what we've seen through these first 4 games. This has been a tremendous NBA Finals, and I hope that it continues to be that way. So I think the Knicks will win another game before the Spurs win 3 games. I particularly think the Spurs are going to win the next game, because you kind of have to. And I also think the Knicks are like, you can have this one. Let's go back to New York. Because if they win this in New York City, the apocalypse will occur. Okay? Everyone in New York will look like the day the earth stood still. It will be what was that movie? The disaster movie where the storm destroyed New York.
The Day After Tomorrow, that one?
There was 2012 or whatever. There's been many movies.
Yep.
It will look like the Avengers. Okay, it will look like the T'Charian army came out of the sky and destroyed New York City if they win in New York City, because their fans threw a bottle at Wembley last night, because class is not indicative to wins and losses. So that's all. Go ahead. And I want to do one more thing about the Spurs, and then we'll get out of here.
I want to do two things. One, I want to laugh at this dude who's still freaking out about Taylor Swift in the comments.
Shout out to B. Thompson.
He referred to her as no talent Taylor Swift. How the fuck you think she made all that money? Okay, other thing. We could be done with Taylor Swift, but people don't make billions of dollars for doing nothing, dog.
Kardashians.
The other thing is she did make a movie, sold a lot of copies. Uh, the other thing is not talking about Taylor Swift. Dang,
Ah!
I called the comeback because they were down. It was like 2 minutes left in the second quarter. Knicks are down like 25 or whatever. I think it eventually ended up
Okay.
being like 29. And my wife is miserable, right? I can't believe this. We're getting blown out, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, look, I was like, this is bait in an NBA finals game. I was like, because the Knicks are not going to sit there and put in their scrubs and let them get blown out. And the Spurs can't keep this level of aggression and ferocity when they go into the halftime up 30. I was like, this is going to shrink down. Now, I was like, whether or not the Knicks still have energy to finish it when they come back, that'll be the question. But I do think they're going to come back. And then the half ended. They went to commercial. They came back. I'm watching Inside the NBA with Shaq and Kenny and all them. And I all of a sudden I'm like, what's that I hear what's in the background? And then Shaq grabs Kenny. Cash rules everything around. And I'm like, they got Wu-Tang playing a halftime of a Knicks finals game. I turned to my wife. I was like, it's over. Knicks win. And she was like, what? I was like, it's over. Knicks win. They got Wu-Tang
The
back
real
together.
Wu-Tang.
The real Wu-Tang. R.I.P. ODB. The real Wu-Tang on the court halftime of a Knicks finals game. And then
awesome.
at the end of the performance, which I saw only a small snippet of, and I'm mad about. There's probably the full performance on YouTube or something. I gotta go watch it. At the end of it, Method Man says, "Knicks in 5. The fuck y'all talking about?" And I was like, Knicks in 5. Then like the game ended. I was like,
what y'all talking about?
I'm a believer. Fuck y'all talking about. No, and part of it is everyone's gonna be like, woo, good thing they didn't clinch that in New York City because that would have been bad. Instead, you'll just get a real messy parade out of it. But dog, Knicks in 5, I think. Like I came on here saying Spurs in 5, Spurs gonna win by 30, Spurs in 6. I think I changed it to at one point. Like Knicks in 5, I was wrong. I'm always wrong apparently.
I think the Spurs win the next game. But I want to advise people on something, and this is where we'll stop the show, unless you want to give some thoughts after what I say. We need to be very careful with, oh, they're young. Oh, they'll be back here again. Or, oh, they're about to dominate the NBA for the next decade. Be very careful with that. The NBA's history is littered, and I mean littered, with young teams who are successful who it never materializes for. This idea that Oklahoma, I'll do you one better. Go back to when the Boston Celtics made the finals with young Jason Tatum and kind of young Jaylen Brown, and people are like, oh man, they're gonna be here forever. They're gonna keep coming back. They've only won a title in that entire time, and Jason Tatum tore his ACL in the midst of that. This idea that the Oklahoma City Thunder with KD, Russ, Harden, Serge Ibaka, oh man, they finna go on a 10, 15-year run. That team made the finals once. This idea that the Oklahoma City Thunder with Shea and Jay Will and Chet, oh, they finna run the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
JJ Redick was calling them the greatest statistical team ever. And you're ready to throw, back to back to back three-peat parades for them. They won a championship. And now when you look back at that championship, they probably only won that championship because Tyrese Halliburton tore his Achilles to start the game that he was on fire in a game 7.
Absolutely.
In addition to that, now people are telling you that they got to trade Chet Holmgren because he can't even play against Wemby no more. The NBA, professional sports in general, it is a win now because nothing is promised. I'm going to tell you why I think it is vital for the Spurs to I don't think they will because, again, it's up here. It's not in here. That's heart. That's in the head, not in the heart for the people listening to the podcast. Shout out to everybody listening to the podcast. Podcast is picking up, getting a lot of downloads. Shout out. And always go to YouTube, subscribe to the show, the John Browner Podcast. If you're new to it, retweet it on X. The idea that this Spurs thing is going to run forever because they got a first-year head coach and their best 2 players are 22 years old and their third best player is a 20-year-old off the bench. And then you got Carter Bryant and they still got pigs and they got money and all this. Let me warn y'all. Wemby already missed the season with a blood clot. This can go away really, really fast. So the idea that these guys are young and they're gonna go on this run, be very cautious. I always say, win when you're there. Do not Dan Marino this thing. Do not Dan Marino this. Because this thing seems nice and fun and entertaining. And these guys seem like they get along until you blow a 29-point lead and everybody's now looking at De'Aaron Fox like, bro, you can't play here no more. When Dylan Harper's on the bench going, hey, man, Mitch, why I ain't getting put in the game? Everybody don't always like the coach. The best player does. So you think these three kids going to stay together forever? Dylan Harper don't look like he finna stick around for a long time. You watch Ron Harper in the stands, proud of his son, holding up his Spurs T-shirt sitting next to Amon Shumpert. That's a bug in his ear. That man got 5 championships. You think he ain't sitting around going, why my son didn't get a shot in the last 10 minutes of the game? I know more than Mitch Johnson. You don't think people in these folks' ear going, yo, man, hey, Stephon Castle, bro, why they letting Fox handle the ball this whole time, dog? You don't think these people got folks in their camp? It's all good now when you winning. Everybody gets along, but you choke a game here in game 2 by passing the ball to a guy not looking. Oh, we'll chalk it up. You blow a 29-point lead. You blow the greatest lead in the history of the NBA Finals in Madison Square Garden, which will now only be known as the tip. Just don't last forever.
I have 2 quick responses. One, shout out my man Shump wearing his own jersey in the crowd.
And then going out to 7th Avenue after the game, high-fiving folks.
That's a baller ass move. He's a real one. I love Shump. The second one is this is the main thing I worry about with Wemby. And it's not the blood clot. It's that that's a big man, and he does tend to fall pretty hard when he falls.
And that frame not going to put on a lot of muscle, people.
Yeah, it's going to put on some.
But
that's
going
to
be enough.
The offseason is going to be like, we got to put on some. And there's going to be all these offseason reports to him in the gym. And people are like, oh, it's time. And then we're going to see him next year and be like, that looks like the same dude. Because they'll improve his like core muscles, but you don't want to slow him up either. He's already like big. He's going to be slow. My buddy Matt Harmon had a phrase that I stole from him, that I still steal from him to this day, which is, ain't nobody ever used to have a bad back. If Wemby falls real hard and hurts his back, like that's like an Embiid situation where it's like, ooh, I don't know if he's ever going to be healthy enough to make it all the way through. So I keep an eye on that. I hope he starts doing the stuff that Embiid does now, where it's like he tries to fall so he can fall in a way that doesn't hurt his back or whatever, even though he falls 1,000 times a game. But yeah, it's everything you said is dead on. It does not last forever. So, praise be to Amon Shumpert for trying to make the glory go as far as it can.
Facts. Hey, man, shout out to John Janal for joining us on the show. I really appreciate you giving us time. I know you got a busy day. I know you got stuff you got to do, and I took at least an hour of your time today. So my apologies. Hope you had a good time. And you found the link right away this time.
I did. Hey, that World Cup game you were talking about is going to be trash. Mexico's going to win by 1 billion.
Listen, I'm not allowed to talk about Mexico on this show.
Oh, so. That's fair. All right, yeah, we'll just wrap this up.
Bye.